Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chris O Show podcast. You could be listening on MuskokaUnlimited.com, or we're actually transitioning into the chrisoshow.blog or chrisoshow.com. So it could be on there. Wherever you're listening, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on all those things. We're happy you're joining us, and we really appreciate your listening or watching, depending on what you're doing. Today, I have a really special guest, Mr. Peter Sale, who's been at the forefront of environmental issues in Muskoka for a long time, Muskoka watershed issues, all kinds of wonderful things, trying to help us, be sustainable and steward our environment. So, Mr. Sale, thank you for joining me.
Happy to be here.
So I can call you Peter because we've spoken before on the phone. I know. So anyways, but Peter, upcoming we have the Muskoka Summit on the environment. What is that about, and why is that important?
Okay, good. Muskoka Summit on Environment, on the environment.
The environment.
Used to be running every second year until COVID came along and interrupted us, but the Watershed Council has got itself organized, and we're holding the first one since 2018 on the 4th of October. It's an all-day event with speakers coming in from I can say across Canada because one of them is coming from Coquitlam.
Oh, cool.
We are feeding people lunch and dinner. We will get you out of the place by 7 in the evening, but it's going to be a long day. I think it's going to be a fun day. The theme of the summit this year is resilience. We're talking about the resilience of our environment and our society, which is basically the ability of us and our environment to cope with the changes that are happening and are going to continue to happen, so that 40 years from now, we will still have the wonderful environment we have in Muskoka, and hopefully even more prosperous communities than we have now. I think there's a lot in it for people to learn about. I think there's opportunities for new ideas to mesh and mingle around. And I'm hoping that people go away feeling they've had an enjoyable experience. They've also had an experience where they learn some new things, and they go away optimistic about the fact that we can do the things we need to do to keep this environment as good as it is now, or even better. Well, that's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. And I think that's something really important for us to do, is to have everyone kind of get involved. There's stakeholders from throughout our communities need to be involved, whether you're in business, individuals, government, and everybody, and coming together. And I love that it's about sharing ideas, bringing some fresh ideas. What can we do, and what are some things you'd like to see in regards to the conversations being held?
Well, one thing I'll say very quickly, you just mentioned our community. I'd like to say communities.
Yes.
There's different kinds of communities all meshed together in Muskoka in terms of, some people are here strictly for fun and recreation. They may be here 12 months a year for fun and recreation. Many people can't afford that. But there are people here who see this place as the place they go to unwind. And then there are other people here whose whole career is here, and they have business and employment, and they are working hard, and yet when the weekend comes, they're out enjoying Muskoka as well. And let's not forget the indigenous communities. And one of the things I'm very happy about with this summit is I think we're going to have a really good exposure to indigenous ideas about the environment, and also good participation from the municipal the indigenous communities within the Muskoka area. And when I talk about Muskoka, I'm not talking about the district of Muskoka, that municipal thing. I'm talking about this place, which is the watershed of the Muskoka River and the areas around that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you're not talking about that government entity. We're talking about the region and the
Right,
watershed that
right.
goes all the way through Algonquin Park and all the way
Yeah,
like Arrowhead Park and down as
yeah.
far, I forget how far south it goes, but it goes all the way through the whole area and it touches all the offshoots and the lakes and everything, right?
There are 13 lower tier municipalities which have bits of land which are part of the watershed of the Muskoka River. It's
That's
it's
amazing.
it's a huge area, and we're working closely with them because the other thing I'll say about this summit is it is a part of a longer term plan which the Watershed Council is embarked upon with local municipalities to build a better way of managing this environment.
Yeah.
We we have a lot of dedicated people working on environmental management in various capacities throughout the region. But the ways in which environmental management is done, the approaches taken, they were good when they were put in place 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
They're not any good now. Or sorry, they're still good,
I know what
but,
you mean. Yeah.
but they aren't good enough.
Yeah.
And the new stresses that our environment is being exposed to um, are continuing to grow and get stronger. And we don't have the capacity that we need to have if we hope to have a significant influence on keeping this environment the way we'd like it. So I'm very optimistic about the future. I people tend to listen to me and think that I'm always doom and gloom about the terrible things that are coming. But in fact, we have the capacity to deal with these things, but it's going to take changing the way we do things. And one of the goals of the summit is to bring our community up to a level of understanding where they see that, yes, this is more complicated than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And yes, we do need to change what we're doing. And gee, I didn't know I was actually a part of the watershed.
Yeah,
One
that's
of the
true too.
messages we're getting out,
Yeah.
we're not on the outside looking in, and it's not just the backdrop to our lives. It's an amazing living thing that we're part of that responds to the kinds of pressures that it's getting from climate change and increasing population and
Yeah.
development and all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
So, and I'm optimistic because you know, Muskoka is arguably in better condition environmentally now than it was, say, in the 1920s, 1910s. Some of the photographs from around the turn of the last century, you wouldn't believe what Muskoka looked like back then.
Yeah.
And we have learned from our mistakes,
Yes.
and I think we can continue to learn, and that's part of our goal in putting this summit on.
Yeah,
So
and I think you're right because back then and still to this day, I think some people will unearth stuff that used to get thrown in the lakes.
yeah,
Remember, people just to throw everything in the lakes. Oh, it's a garbage piece of furniture. It's an old umbrella. It's this. Just throw it in the lake, right? And we don't do that anymore. People are much smarter now. People are like, no, no, you can't do that. You're gonna ruin the lake.
I was talking to someone over the weekend who's lived in Muskoka for many, many years, and she was saying that she had been out in a boat recently on one of the lakes, and she had seen a gentleman on his dock on a sunny Sunday morning, lathering up with lots of soap and getting ready to dive in the lake. And she said, I nearly died. We don't do that
Don't do
anymore.
that anymore. No.
And this was a person who undoubtedly loved his environment and had no idea that dumping soap in the lake was something that could cause problems.
Yeah.
We have come so far from the way it used to be. I mean, everybody used to bathe in the lake
Everybody. Yeah.
because if you think back 30 or 40 years, summer cottages were not quite what they are now, and
True.
the plumbing was often one of the more interesting things when you went to somebody's cottage, and bathing in the lake was routine. But
Yep.
we learned some time ago that soap and detergent put phosphorus into the water, and
Yep.
phosphorus is really rather wonderful for plants. When they receive a dose of phosphorus, they perk up and get really happy, and algae do that too. And we
Yeah.
don't like what algae do when they perk up and get too happy. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And no, and this is what I'm saying, right? Like we know now, or the majority of us know now.
yeah,
So we are taking better care. We are trying to
right.
do right by our watershed, by our lakes. And a lot of us will call out people if they're doing the wrong thing. A lot of us
That's
will
true.
say, "Hey,
That's
hey,
true.
what are you
And
doing?"
in fact, if you talk to people who are doing the wrong thing and do it respectfully,
Yes,
frequently they will thank you because they didn't know what they were doing was the wrong thing.
exactly.
And that's because we have this rather peculiar society in which we have continual renewal, with new people coming in who've never lived here before, and they've come from a city. And what's a septic tank?
Yeah,
How does
yeah.
it
What's
work?
a septic tank?
uh, where is my septic tank? Do I have to do anything to it?
Yeah,
I mean, the I'm not meaning to make fun of new members of our community, but there are tricks about living in this
yeah.
place that are a little different to living in Mississauga.
It's true. It's
Yeah,
absolutely true. And I think the more that and I love that you said that. Talk to people respectfully. Teach
yeah,
people respectfully. Say, "Hey, did you know?" rather than "Don't do that." Be
yeah.
like, "Hey, did you know that that's harmful because of these reasons?" And people will be like,
That's true.
"Oh,
And also, it's a little bit like diplomacy.
yes.
Treat people respectfully. If they show you that they're not worthy of that respect, then you can start abusing them. But
Yeah."
most people you'll find are very worthy of that respect,
Yeah.
and they'll actually thank you for pointing them in the right directions. Yeah,
It's true, and most people will respond kindly and respectfully when you approach them with
yeah,
a kindness and
yeah,
respect, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. And these are some great points we're making. Now, back to the Summit of Environment. How can people like attend? Is it open to anybody?
Okay. The information is important. It's the 4th of October.
Yes,
It's at the new Beaver Lumber, no, Muskoka Lumber. Oh, Jesus.
the Muskoka Lumber Center in
Is it the
Bracebridge. Yeah,
new Bracebridge Muskoka Lumber Community Center?
yeah, that's the name.
There is a beautiful auditorium in that center called the Leon's Auditorium. Everything is branded these days.
Everything, everything.
But the auditorium is quite a nice place. It'll be set up with round tables and people seated around them, so it'll be really good for communication, for conversation and interaction. And it can hold 240, and I want to fill it. And the trick is we only fill it if people register.
Yes.
The adult admission is $149,
Okay.
which includes all the coffee you can drink. Um, it includes lunch and dinner.
Nice.
The catering is being done by Lake Bay's Brewery's catering unit.
Oh,
And if you've eaten food prepared by Lake Bay's Brewery, you'll know that the food is going to be good.
yeah,
But you're not coming there just to eat. Yeah, you're coming there to feed your mind
yeah.
and get yourself stimulated. We have speakers, as I say, coming in from various places, experts
Nice.
who are going to talk about different aspects of this thing of that we're calling resilience, which is basically the capacity of the system to resist stress and recover from stress.
Yeah.
So the more resilience our environment has, the healthier it is.
Gotcha.
So what we're doing is learning about that and learning about how you can how you can work to build resilience and keep this place as wonderful as it is every morning when I wake up.
I love it. I love it. And so where do people go to buy tickets or to register?
It's all done online. You go to one word, muskokasummit.org.
Okay.
And at the bottom of that first page, there's several buttons to push, but one of them says registration.
Perfect.
And you click on that and you go straight to the registration site. The price for this, I said, is $149.
Yep.
Students get in at half price.
Oh, nice.
They have to have a code to do that. Indigenous people are coming in at a reduced price.
Okay.
And we also have an arrangement where, believe it or not, our speakers are coming in for free.
Oh, wow.
So,
I love that. Yeah.
we try and look after our speakers after all. But
Yes.
so don't be afraid when you see $149. If you've eaten in a restaurant in Muskoka recently,
It's minimum.
you've spent your $149 before you get any of the good stuff out of this conference. It's going to be fun.
There we go. I love that, Peter. I love that. So just so everyone knows, on my blog post, I'm going to have the link on all the posts. We'll have the link directly so you can register right away.
Right.
So all you have to do is click on it and go and register. You won't have to do any typing in. We'll get that all set up for you.
And if you're on Facebook or if you're on Instagram or various of the other social media, you will probably see announcements about it, and you'll be able to go straight from that announcement. So
there you go.
Getting to register is pretty simple. A couple of clicks. If you don't do it, you might find there's no space left. So
yeah, do it right away.
Think about it. And that reminds me, I've got to register as soon as we get off this, because I
there you go.
myself.
I love it.
And I want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be there, Peter. You're like the shining
Yeah.
star of this.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, on that note, we've given people the information. I think everyone that is interested in making Muskoka, like you said, resilient and sustainable for the future and stewarding our environment, because it's why we're here. It's why we live here. It's why we visit here. It's why we play and work here. Get involved. October 4th, the Muskoka Lumber Community Center in Bracebridge in the Leon's meeting room. You're going to get lunch and dinner from Lake of Bays. It's only $149 for a regular person. Students are half price, and Indigenous peoples as well have a little bit of a discount. All that information will be online on muskokasummit.org, and we'll check it out. So, Peter, thank you for your time today, sir. I really appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Yep. And and I hope to see a lot of people who say, I heard about it from Chris.
There we go. I hope so too. Well, everyone, thanks for listening, and bye for now.
Thank you.